And with a slew of earnings out of the major markets around the world, investors are also on the edge today over economic data from Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Let's bring on DWTV financial correspondent for Channels Television, Konrad Busen. Thank you very much for finding time to be with us this afternoon. Konrad, let's get started. A disappointing way to end the week from the economic front. No thanks to the Germany and France's manufacturing orders data, squeezing the expected U.S. payroll data for us, and tell us what this Friday is looking like in Frankfurt.
Well, Boason, maybe we should just first take a short look on what the market has been doing so far here in Frankfurt together with our viewers. Look at this. Look at the very jittery, very undecided up and down line the German DAX has been painting against the wall here in Frankfurt so far. Traders say this reflects and illustrates quite nicely what the sentiment is on the market today. You mentioned the US labor market report. This is the event likely to decide today. In about an hour from now, the data is coming out. It's going to decide whether or not the market ends trading today on a positive or negative note. What's being expected? Well, companies in the US should have created 190,000 new jobs in January, and the unemployment rate is expected to have remained at 5%. Anything much better would indicate that the US Federal Reserve Bank was ready or is likely to be ready to continue to increase interest rates in March. Anything much worse would mean that the recovery of the US economy has slowed down significantly, so no further interest rate hikes, but nothing to get enthusiastic about either. Of course, the development of wages is also something that the Federal Reserve will be looking at. The way that wages increase is also a very important indicator for how the development on the labor market has been going.
Yes, you sidestepped the France and Germany's manufacturing data. Add that together for us, Konrad, with the banking sector side of things. It's been a very tough week, starting from last week. The Deutsche Bank story, the Credit Suisse, the Italian BP Paribas, and the Swiss lender Julius Baer admitting to tax fraud, paying the authorities some money. Talk us through that side of the market for the week. Talk a little bit starting with the economic data from the Eurozone.
Well, that's true. We've been getting a very negative report from the German manufacturing sector. The factory orders in December decreased from November by 0.7%. That's a much stronger decrease and downturn than economists had forecast. Another indicator that the recovery also in the Eurozone is likely to be at least jittery, if not going down. One factor that's been weighing on the market quite significantly, and let me tell you, so far the German DAX here, the stock market, it has lost around about 4% this week, and that adds to the 9% the market has lost in the first trading weeks of this year. So we've seen losses of 13% on the stock market here in Germany so far this year.
Okay, so much bittersweet. Anything sweet on the markets? Konrad, finish the week on some positive note for us, please.
Well, I can tell you about a few assets that were in demand and whose prices were rising. Gold, it was in demand, and also German government bonds. Those are considered to be safe haven investments. The yield on German government bonds is down to 0.2%. Now, why should investors be ready to invest in assets that return nothing or nearly nothing? And I'm sorry, Boason, I have to be giving you a bit of a negative news again. Of course, investors are ready to invest in those assets because other assets return even less. And also, investors are concerned about the geopolitical situation, about the Middle East again. Remember, in Geneva, the peace talks about Syria have fizzled. Saudi Arabia announced today that they are ready to send ground troops to Syria, and Russia and Turkey are quarreling over airspace. This is not really the kind of news that investors like to hear before they head into the weekend.
Yes, Konrad, and that is reflected in the zigzag there over your shoulder. Okay, let's sleep over that. Let's sleep over those news and hope we come back on Monday, the 8th, bright and early, hoping that things would have tapered off over the weekend. Konrad, do have a great weekend. All of you there in Frankfurt, DWTV for Channels Television there for you.